Hey guys, Hirako here, and today do I have a video for you. So, there was some news released earlier today. A lot of you've probably already seen some other content creators put out this list, which is going to be the champions that are going to be rebalanced in the upcoming patch. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail. I'm not going to get into any detail whatsoever about the champions that are potentially being changed, because right now it's all just speculation. I mean, we assume that champions like Rhodos and Siphi are gonna be nerfed, but hey, it's Plarium, you know, and nothing really surprises us. So we could see a buff for Rhodos and Siphi. I mean, we were in my Discord chat today, and people were mentioning that Siphi could probably use an AoE res. I think that would help her out, as well as maybe applying damage based on enemy max HP on her A1. Siphi has a lot of things, guys, that we could really change and make her a little bit better, you know? I don't think she's quite top there yet. But jokes aside, Siphi's probably going to be nerfed. But there's no information as to what these champions, what's going to be affected with them. So here's the list. I'll scroll through it slowly. If you want to read these champions' names, I believe you guys can read. So I'm not going to read them out loud to you guys because there's a lot of them. And like I said, we're not going to get into details as to what I think is going to be affected with who. Instead, I want to talk about if this change could really potentially mess up Raid. I don't necessarily think it's going to mess up Raid, but it could be some big changes coming in September. So the thing I want to kind of talk about is giving you an example, okay? So a while back, some of you guys may have played during this time, but there was a champion released as a fusion. This little dwarf dude goes by the name of Torment, okay? When this guy came out, when he was initially released as a fusion champion, he absolutely just changed the arena meta so much. Because before that, you were just only speed teams. Speed teams still do amazing. Dog's licking his arm and it's so annoying. Jasper, stop it. Thank you. But speed teams, they were so annoying, okay? But Torment came in, and if you got buffed, turn meter changes, anything like that, you're frozen, okay? Well, Torment, you would see him everywhere in arena. If you've seen him, you just don't battle him because you're gonna lose, all right? Fast forward a few months, I don't know when exactly it was, but you have this little married couple come into the game, you know? You had Rhodos for a fusion, and then Rhodos decides to bring his overpowered wife into the situation as well, and then boom, we have an answer for Torment. So Torment went from being a game-breaking champion to quickly being essentially nerfed without actually having anything changed to him whatsoever. So you went from having champions who were at the top of the game before, so like arbiters who were super good, Torment comes in, drastically changes the whole situation, because now you have to be mindful about having turn meter increases, having buffs go out, anything like that, because you're going to be frozen and Torment's just going to wreck you. And then fast forward, Siphi comes in, she's very fast, high base speed, and then she places block debuffs. Therefore, you can't be frozen. So you have champions like this who come in and massively change the meta without actually being directly nerfed or buffed. So where this leads to my, I guess, worry is that with Plarium releasing, I think it's what, 35 champions? 35 champions being released by Plarium who are going to be nerfed and or buffed, okay? So this isn't going to affect those individual champions, but instead, every buff is going to indirectly affect another champion and could indirectly affect the current meta of the arena. When you buff one champion, it's likely going to affect another champion. Like, you know those scales of justice or whatever it is, like the balancing scales? If you add a little bit more weight to one side, it's going to even it out. Well, this is what I worry about with buffing and nerfing, is if you're nerfing one champion, so taking some weight off of their side of the scale, buffing another one, putting some weight on theirs, you could either get it balanced out perfectly or very unbalanced. And just to be 100% honest, with Plarium's track record in the past, I find it difficult to believe that when these new champions come out with their buffs and nerfs, that it's going to take them from being very unbalanced to perfectly balanced. What I think is going to happen is that during September, we're going to see these buffs and nerfs come out, but the issue is that Plarium plans to release this, I believe, mid to late September. And honestly, I hope it's closer to late September, because right now, we have seen absolutely zero information as far as what's getting buffed and what's getting nerfed. I mean, we have the champion list, but that doesn't really say much, okay? We don't know any of the details whatsoever as far as what the specifics are when it comes to the nerfs and buffs. So the earlier Plarium gets this information out to us, the quicker we can start getting some feedback and like kind of start theory crafting to a point. Because what's going to be terrible to happen is this information comes out and then the patch is directly released right after it gets all publicity. I think it's going to be a month full of content, to say the least, guys. I do think September and October, I think should be some pretty busy months as full of content, guys. I don't think I'll have any issues coming up with video ideas, because it's going to be definitely interesting to see how all this plays out. It could play out very, very good, and that's what I really hope for. But on the other side of things, it could be pretty bumpy, because even with the recent Rotos changes, like some of his extra turns were supposed to be changed around. Well, then you had those bugs come out where he had 0 HP, but it wasn't showing, like his HP bar was all messed up. So basically every patch that Plarium releases, that Raid releases, comes with bugs. So I feel like it's inevitable that when you're balancing 35 champions or whatever it is, you're going to get some bugs. The idea that I think would be better is to either not necessarily worry about nerfing champions just yet. I do believe there's a lot of legendaries and there's a lot of epics who could really use some significant buffs. I don't think buffing the champions who are like very, very low tier, so like your war chiefs in the games, your Alika, your Maeve, your epics who are just very, very bad, I don't think buffing them to a spot, buffing them even significantly, I don't think it's going to break the game. And I feel as if you have a better chance to see what went wrong if you just release the buffs and then you release the nerfs later on, versus saying, hey, here's a big list of champions. I think it's probably the biggest list of champions that I've seen since playing the game. And you have buffs and nerfs thrown in here without any testing that I know of. There may be testing going on behind the scenes, but I haven't heard anything about it whatsoever. So I just feel like releasing this massive, I guess potentially massive, it could be small changes. I'm going to assume it's going to be pretty large changes, especially to the epics who have absolutely zero uses whatsoever. So like I said, I hope that they slowly implement some of that, or at least the champions who are getting nerfed don't take a huge nerf. Not saying the champions like Siphi and Rotos don't need a nerf. I definitely think they do. But with most things, I think you should take the more minimalist approach, as in make smaller tweaks. So release the champions who need to be buffed, apply buffs to them, give it a week or so, see how it plays out, and then release the nerfs, so that then you can really see, hey, this is where the problem has arisen, versus a buff and nerf going out at the same time, and then all of a sudden the arena meta switches, which isn't a problem. I would love to see the arena meta switch. That'd be great. But you're definitely going to see some new overpowered champions potentially rise up that could be even worse than the current situation. So that's just my idea. Like I said, I think September and October will definitely be a content-filled month without a doubt. I'll keep you guys posted whenever I find out more information about which champions are going to be buffed, which champions are going to be nerfed. I think a lot of the content creators who have made their lists have a pretty good idea about who's going to be buffed and nerfed. I mean, some of these are pretty obvious. Like Madame Saris, she doesn't need to be stronger. She can be nerfed. I just think when you're mixing buffs and nerf at the same time, especially when you have a history of releasing patches that do have bugs, I just feel as if this patch could either, one, be very good and definitely be a complete turnaround from what Raid and Plarium typically do, or it could be a pretty bad patch with a few weeks of bad PR, as well as just frustration in the arena. So because arena, to be honest, arena is where the majority of these champions seem overpowered, because who really cares that much if Siphi carries your dungeon team? I mean, because dungeon's not affecting anybody else, you know? But because Siphi's so good in the arena, same thing with Rotos, people actually care about him more. Most of these champions on this list who are getting a nerf is because they're so good in arena, and that's where most of the, you know, overpowered champion labels come from, is from the arena, you know. Outside PvE content, not as big of a deal. Now, there are a lot of champions on here. Another thing, a lot of champions have been in 10x recently. So there's a lot of negativity around that. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what changes are made and seeing how all this plays out. Like I said, I really hope they get this list to us sooner rather than later, so at least the content creators can kind of see what's going on, get some community feedback on, hey, how's this going to work? So then Plarium and Raid can say, hey, maybe we should pull this patch back a little bit and release it a little bit later. I mean, it's not like they're super on time with everything anyways, like with Battle Pass Season 2. That doesn't really matter. I would much rather a little bit of a delay in releasing these changes versus the changes be released when people know they're going to be potentially bad. So that's just my opinion. That's my take on it, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think? Do you think it's a good idea to release buffs and nerfs at the same time? Do you think this patch is going to come out doing great, or do you think it's going to miss the mark a little bit? I'm definitely interested to hear what you guys think, but that's going to wrap up the video, guys. If you haven't already, make sure to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me over on the Twitch side of things at twitch.tv/Tyraku. I'm live over there every day except for Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you all in the next one.